Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Thursday. It's February 12th. This will be our chart lesson today. And in the end, we had a really nice channel that worked up here. I didn't really have a lot of confidence in this channel, um, really until prices turned down off it right there. I didn't even put this on the early morning chart because I just didn't think it was. I was more tuned into this trading range, and that would have got you where you needed to be honest, until in the afternoon, and then this channel would have kept you on the right side up into here, and then the day's pretty much over anyway. So you didn't have to have this two-tiered channel, but it would have helped you on a couple of these shorts for sure, and it probably would have given you some more confidence on these last couple of longs here. Um, so I did see a two-tiered channel working up here early. We had a break, moved to a new high, and then we had the correction, which is this little trading range here. Um, and usually that correction is going to last about an hour, or at least a minimum of an hour, and then we'll find some kind of area after the correction. Generally, it'll start going the other direction, and that's what this trading range is. I believe was a correction of this. But in the end, I think we had a two-tiered channel working up here, a spike in a channel going up, and it's pretty interesting. And this is something I want to show you. This is a very good learning day for trying to figure out what prices are doing. If you saw this two-tiered channel, look what happens when prices come off the low. They keep going higher till they get to the high. And then they start working lower here, and it takes a long time, but where do they go? To the low. And then they start working higher here, and it takes a long time, but where does it finally find resistance? At the high. And so what if you spot something like this, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for prices to go from one side to the other. And I think people miss that point. And a lot of times you'll get support and resistance through that midline there if it shows up. Same thing with this trading range. You can see the same thing. Prices are hung up in this low end. They're either going from the low to the high, the low to the high. That's what they do. And they got up in the upper side and they're going from the low to the high, low to the high, low to the high. Sometimes they overshoot it some, but they're still working low to high, low to high, low to high. And so it doesn't matter if it's flat, it doesn't matter if it's angled. Look what's happened here. We're working off the lows and we move till we get to the high, and then we start working down till we get to the low, and then we start working up. I mean, that's how it works. It's really that simple. Now, it doesn't go straight to one point and straight to the other. It tries to throw you off the track along the way. But that's how you have a clue where prices are headed next. You don't know exactly how they're going to get there, but you know that's where we're likely headed. Just like right here, this is a convoluted way, but we went from the low to the high before we started seeing prices try to correct again. We just kind of got in another flatter channel, just like we kind of had down here. And if you measure this thing up, it's probably, I haven't measured it, but I'm betting it's probably, there's your channel, your first channel. If you measure it up, we got a little bit higher, but not much. And we actually went a little bit higher here. So it's probably about the same amount there. So, that's another way it's going to stair step up out of a range kind of like that. So I hope that's clear. Hopefully that'll help some people, because I think people miss that point. And it's an important piece of what we do. So, um, and then there's a couple of different ways that you can look for a measured move. I would have started here, but this just really never came. I mean, we didn't even get close to that, I don't think. We got to about 85, 86. We came within 4 or 5 points of it, but that's pretty, I mean, that's pretty aggressive there. Even if you would get it, you would expect it to take a long time. I probably would have started here with something more realistic like that one. And then when it started back up here, and you can see that's a perfect measured move. So um, remember those measured moves. That'd keep you on the, staying with the trade a little bit longer as well. But I'm going to back out here where you can see all this price action a little better. And understand, when you start to get in this stuff right here, especially like this right here, you can't enter that. You got to stay out right there. That definitely needs to be circled. And that's where people get, they start to make mistakes. They get in that, and they don't know whether to go long or short or long or short. Don't do anything. Wait for something like a little trap right here, and then you get to go long and look. They trapped everybody to the short side and look at it go. But if you just paid attention to that two-tiered channel, you'd know you're looking for something like that to get long. You're not looking to get short in here, really. Um, you got to be real careful about that. I did mark a couple of shorts here. I'll talk about it, but that was when it looked. I mean, we saw this yesterday. This is almost a repeat pattern of yesterday. If you remember, we made the double top, and then everything turned down. I think it was yesterday, wasn't it yesterday? But we saw this same pattern here recently where we had the double top, and then we turned down. And so I saw a couple of trades here that I liked. They're traps as well. Um, so we'll talk about that. Um, but these might have been, I actually struggle with whether or not to make these green or to leave them red. Um, but just based because it was almost like a repeat pattern that we saw, um, I felt like they were worth circling. And you can see this broke higher and turned and went down. And you had a little bit working down, and you're so far away from the EMA. Uh, Prices just don't stay away from the EMA that long. And so that's what I really liked about that. But let's just go ahead and start talking about the trades. This looked real rangy. It went straight down, then it went straight up, and so I thought this was going to be a range down. That's why I liked these couple of trades. There is this two-tiered channel working up, but this hadn't really been confirmed. It looks pretty good. I think it was accurate, but I think this is just too much, too fast, and so you're probably going to get a correction, and I can't get anything done for the phone ringing. Um, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Hopefully this is not going to be all night, but the phone rings every 30 seconds. But I like this trade. We got a high here. It's rangy looking. Uh, we came up, we tested it once, we pulled up, tested it again, and notice the congestion and stuff there, and you want to start your little trend line off those first couple of closes right there. And this thing breaks higher and turns and goes lower, way away from the EMA. Prices are coming back there soon. So I like that one. Pretty good trade. Uh, Real quick and easy scalp. And then it pulls up and you get a failed second entry long. So, at that point I was looking for the range to be probably the support to be further down here. Turns out it climbs a little higher, but it does come down and test this first. Another quick, easy scalp. I wouldn't be afraid to still go long here, especially on that failed second entry short. And it was actually a little tempting to go short right there as well, but that's not a very good signal bar. And this one's, by the time you get into this one, it doesn't close on its low either. So I think you're better off just to wait. And you do get this failed second entry short right there. Notice the new low, pull back first entry, pull back second entry, and so you can go long right there. I like that one for the long. And then it turns right back down again. And this one bounces off of it's close to the trend line right here, but it goes through, and it's not a very good signal bar. And then this one doesn't close very good. So again, and then it just kind of gets hung up right there. So I think you got to wait. If you were going to do anything, you might be thinking long if it breaks higher right here, but it never does, because notice the new low, first entry, pullback. So there's a second entry short there, but you don't want to go short below that bar. And then by the time they start stacking up, then you're probably just better off to sit tight. And you're too close to the support here. It breaks lower, it turns up. I like that for a long because of that little break below all those matching lows. That's that little trap. And you're still looking for a possible retest because you got this channel working up. And so I like that one. It is a second entry long too. This is a double top, so you basically can count this as a new high, pull back first entry, pull back second entry, and it takes off. I don't think you want to go long right here into that resistance. I think you're better off to sit and wait. And then you get notice this new low, pull back. Actually, you could count this as you could count it. I actually count this like a failed second entry short. This is a new low here, and you can kind of notice how the prices never really backed up, or we did tick lower there, but there's a trend line, and so I treated that like that's almost one move up, and then there's a first entry pullback, second entry, and you could have even looked at it. It's a double test of that. I think it's real risky going long into that. Um, I marked it green because of the trap and the fact that some people are probably going to take it. But I think I think it's too risky. I think you're really asking for trouble. When you've got a move like this all the way up, why risk an entry like this? Um, Wait on it to prove itself up here, and it actually pulled back. It didn't quite get there. That's the first time it held the 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 resistance had turned to support, and it ticked one tick higher and failed and turned down. And it's really tempting to go short right there. I'll be honest with you, but it's not a very good signal bar. I think you're better off to wait. And at this point, I'm really still playing this um, the range more than I am the channel. Um, I wasn't convinced about this channel yet. Um, I just wasn't convinced about it, especially when we bounced right here. But you got this range working down, and you had a break right here. You got to use the first few closes. Um, and you had a break, and then you get a move to a new low. And this bounced right at this was resistance, and now it kind of acted as support. But again, we're way away from the EMA. We had a break. We've got a couple of legs down that are measured. That's one leg, little pullback, a second leg. Um, so I like that one to the long side, playing the range. Where does it go? Right back to the resistance. Turns down. I don't think you can take the first entry there. And there's even a little second entry. This is a little bit higher low than that one, but I think you got to just look at that like one bar. Wait on another, and then it pulls back and test it to the tick and turns down. That's where you want to go short. Another good move down. You might have thought about a limit order there, but there's enough room before getting down here to scalp out. So however you wanted to do it. But you might have thought about a limit order there. And then it bounces. And you can see that EMA is just kind of flat across here. And it's getting flatter by the second. So I think you're better off to wait. And I would have had this moved up now a little bit. Look where the last couple of closes were. It's moved a little higher. And it turns down right there. And that's like two legs up. One leg, a little correction, and a second leg. But better than that, it's that same resistance is holding again. It's not the perfect setup bar, but this is like a double test of this high here, and it's a lower double top. And so I like it to the short side, just figuring you'll come back to the other side of the channel. This one goes a little bit further, and notice how it skipped over that line. That's telling you that line is valid there. Don't ask me why. I can't answer that, but I've seen it enough to know that when I see it, I pay attention to it. When prices skip over your line right there, it's interesting why it does that. It's tempting to go long right there. I think you're better off to wait and see if you get the trap. And of course you do. It breaks lower and turns up. Just go long right there. Nice, easy one. And then you get two legs back to the trend line, the EMA, and it breaks higher again. That's not a beautiful setup bar, but now you know what's happening. You come down here, you've got a trap to the low side, and now you got another chance to enter. It's a failed second entry short more than anything. It's a trap. Notice that new low, first entry, pullback, second entry. There's a lot of people going to be going short right there because it's a two-legged pullback, and but you're better off just to sit and see, and you get another one up to the upside. And I would have exited right up in there, most likely, and then waited on something else. And then you get another little two-legged correction. I marked this one green because it's right into the resistance. But notice that leg back, move up, and there's also that little two ticks lower, and that's a nice bullish bar right off the. So, if you want to be aggressive, you could go along there. I would skip that trade, and I'd wait on the breakout pullback, which came there. And then you get two legs back again, but guess what? It's coming back and testing the support. The resistance is active support, and it bounces, and there's two legs back. You can't see the There's one leg, a little move up, and a second leg. And that's what prices do. They come back and they test these important areas. And that's what, oops, I didn't mean to do that. I wanted to show you this move earlier today when, where was it that I wanted to show you? This this move here, that's what I want to show you. When we came off, look how when we broke up through here, we never tested all that resistance across there. So before it goes higher, it comes back and tests it. And we even came back and tested this break higher right there. I mean, the ES is so efficient. And I talk about this from time to time, but you don't get many free rides. There were a lot of people that smart traders that got in there, and so and they're getting a free ride if they don't bring this back and retest that area. And it allows, and plus what it does, it allows people that missed out right there to get back in right there. And then look at it go again. It moves again. And like I said, I would have measured that leg. That's an important leg right there. And I'd bring it over here and measure it right there. And you can see we went right to that point and corrected. We ended up going much higher, but that's why we started correcting right in there, because a lot of people were probably exiting with their money. So um, I like that long right there. And then you get another little two-legged pullback. It tests the midline. It tests the EMA. And there's a little double bottom. It ticks lower, turns up, closes on its high. Just enter right there. And then this is another one where it just kind of up and down, up and down, up and down, until you get the trap. And you probably want to draw your line here. And this is where you're better off just to stay out, because there's not enough room between the high and the low. But you can see this is clearly, this is a little congestion or trading range here. And then you get that little trap. And notice we traded up into this, so we're probably going to break out to the high side. And so look at that nice bullish bar. I like that, just going long right there. Or if you want to play the odds and hope that you don't miss it, you can wait till the second entry, which came there. Counting off the low. And off it goes. All the people that were getting short here got fooled. All the people, most of the dummies, I shouldn't say that. They're not really dummies. They just don't know how to trade, and that's where they will go short. You know, I can't tell you forever and ever. Everything I read says you know, if you wait till prices and you see if they're going to break out, and if they break out short here, you want to get short. And look, and that's just the opposite of what you want to do. Took me a long time to figure that out after I lost money forever, but eventually I figured it out. If it's going with a trend, maybe, but even then, I'm going to wait on some kind of trap or something. And notice I don't have anything marked after that. Well, that really gets you into 2 o'clock. But I would have waited till a failed second entry short, maybe, or a break, and that's also a breakout pullback short. So if you'd gone on higher, you might have considered, but when it started stacking up there. But notice how it still worked. If you trade it properly, you're going to be okay. If you trade by the way you hear all these people talk about, you're going to probably lose money. Um, but it was a pretty good trading day. I was done early again today. You only needed a couple of these that took off to really make some money. This was a pretty good trade right here. Um, But I would, in the end of the day, I would call this a spiking channel. I just wasn't sold on this spike earlier. I was too tied into the channel. But there's no doubt it's there. But there's also the channel working. And that's another good thing I can show you here. You can see how the patterns, there's patterns within patterns on every level. On a much bigger level, this is one leg up and then another leg up. It didn't turn out to be a measured leg, but the day, you know, it may go into the next day or whatever. But then you've got this little short-term downtrend within this two-tiered channel. You've got a short-term move up in between this channel, and you got the bigger channel here, but you've also got the range right here, and then you got these little trends within here, and here's another smaller one. These are the ones that I really like to figure out inside of the bigger one. So once you kind of bounced here and you figure you definitely probably got a channel, then ride this thing, and notice you got a break, couple of legs up, and there's your hour correction, and then you get another one going late in the afternoon. And there's usually some kind of trap or something like this. I mean, look at this repeat pattern. You had it in a range, it breaks lower, look at it, boom. You got it in a range, it breaks lower, boom. You got it in this little range, it breaks lower, boom. That's where everything happens at these important support and resistance lines. And I've had a couple of conversations with a guy lately that, he says he gets all his lines right, and but he can't figure out what he's doing wrong. Well, he sent me his chart today, and I'm going to look at it for him, and I'm going to make some comments. But I look, and his lines are all over the place, and he's, his channels are just off, and he's got lines drawn in just odd places, and he did one thing I'll give him. He did see this channel, but he wasn't playing it properly. This in the end, this was the bigger channel, and I really didn't play this. I was playing the range and not the channel, and I was done before I really realized that it was the spike in the two-tiered channel was here. So, but you don't really need that. It helps if you know that, because you know to look for prices to bounce along this line, and you look for them to turn down along that line, just like we talked about at the very beginning. That's what prices are doing. When they're coming off this high, they're coming back to here. And when they leave here, they're trying to head up here. And when they get done here, they're trying to head back down here. And then they get back down here, so where they headed, they're trying to head back up. And they may not go there the exact way you expect. It's kind of convoluted. You got a channel working up, two legs up, a little correction into a range, and then another little trend working up, and then same thing. You break, and then you go into correction. So, today was a good day if you followed the rules. And that's another conversation I have a lot. People, what they want to do is they want to follow specific. They want to hear the rules. They say, okay, we're moving. Let me find an example. Okay, we're coming down right here, and we break out of the channel and we start heading up. Well, you might head up, you may not ever come back, and it just keeps going. But the whole time they're looking for the retest. And so when I say the rules, you can't, once you get a trend going in another way, you better pay attention to that one and forget about what you were looking for over here, because you might have even been reading it wrong to begin with. So when you got to switch gears, you just got to switch gears. Don't argue with the price action. Even though, yeah, we were looking for a retest here, I didn't see a chance to go short until here. So I just kind of sat on the sidelines and watched it. You might have thought about going short there because of the channel, because I think it's more important than this little, or the range. I think it's more important than this little channel here, because this is the bigger picture, is this two-tiered range, and this is on a smaller. So think about it like that. You got to look at the level you're looking at and keep that in mind. So, but anyway, I'm going to wrap today up. Pretty good trading day. The bias was pretty much up all day. It's really flat right in here. So, you just wanted to play the range for the most part, and that would have got you in good shape, really. There were some really good longs across there. More of these trades I've got more of them in green. But these traps where you see the little support and you get that little tick and it turns, man, those things are a beautiful, beautiful thing. And every one of them led to a big move. This one, this one, this one. So keep those in mind and learn to spot them, because they will make you some money. But what happens is people see all this moving down and they're scared to death to go long here. And the only reason I really made this one green is because we had a break here and a move to a new low, but a lot of times you're better off to wait on the second entry. And so it's really hard. If you're looking at that at the hard right side of your chart right there, yeah, it's hard to see yourself going long right there. But look, suddenly you get this little reversal type bar. And next thing you know, it's rushing back to the top. And where's the other one? Especially right here. Look at it coming down. And now you think, hey, we're probably headed to here. And all of a sudden you find support right in there. And then you get another little bar and it's got a higher low and it's more bullish than bearish. See, this one's more red. This one's, even this red one here, it closed up in the top 2 or 3 ticks in the stem. So that is even more, even though it's got a little red tint, that's more of a bullish. It's leaning more towards the bullish than the bearish. And then you get that little break, and it's really going to be hard to go long now. But if you see that little tick lower and then it turns back up, and there it was on that next bar, it went lower and then turned and went right out the high. They trapped everybody to the short side. All the weak traders probably got short right in here, and they're selling, and all the smart guys are buying from them. And so they're entering to the wrong way, just where all the smart traders are entering to the right side, and they just take all their money. Look at it go, and then you make a new high. That's what they do when they run up here and they can't push prices through because the resistance is too hard. They'll turn and run it out the other side and fool everybody and trap them, and then all these people that get short throw their buy orders in there, and that's what propels it on up on the trap. So, you got to learn to play it's a game. It's like a video game, and you got to learn the nuances and the special moves and the rules, and so. But nothing is ever written in stone. Doesn't mean that you break the rules or you don't follow the rules. I have a hard time clarifying that with some people, because you can say it one way and it sounds one way, and then I try to start saying it a different way, and then it confuses somebody else. You want to pay attention to the rules always, but there's sometimes if you have this break, look at this channel working out, and you get this break and you never get a new low, and suddenly you got a trend like that going, you just got to go with it. You can't argue with the price action, and that's what I mean by nothing is written in stone. And let me just find a good example. You could really use this one here. Well, you had the break right there, though. This little move right here might be a good one. That's a good one right there. You got that little channel working down, and there's no doubt that's a valid little channel. Look how it's holding prices. And you never get a break until here. And you never get a retest. But that's because the bigger picture is overtaking it. And so if you're sitting there waiting on a retest before you get long, then you miss the whole rest of the day, and you're sitting there waiting on something that's never going to happen. So that's what I mean by, the rules say that most of the time you're going to get a break and a retest. So, but once you see prices working the other way, you can't argue with it anymore. You realize that, hey, on the bigger picture, this has been strong resistance, and now it's support, and prices aren't coming back there again. The market's too strong now. They trapped too many people, and they all had to start exiting, and it's never coming back right there, at least not right away. So I hope that's clear. But we're almost 30 minutes in this thing. I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.